Hey everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel, The Soulful Side of Life with me, Portee. And this is a YouTube channel where I interview people on topics of lifestyle, fashion, faith, international relations, music. I've always interviewed people. In 2019, I stumbled into fashion journalism. I studied international relations and history in school and did a complete 180 into the fashion sphere. And I've always enjoyed interviewing people and finding out about the stories of people's lives. So I've been able to parlay that interest of learning about people's lives and being a fashion contributor into the work that I've done since 2019. But now I'm taking a slight caveat and doing my own thing with this YouTube channel where I include interviews, but also I will start doing occasional vlogs when it's Fashion Week and some of the travels that I do. I've lived in 9 countries and I'm always on the go, and I would like to be able to put that into this YouTube channel as well. So if that's of interest to you, stick around.
It's tired tunes on the track.
Of UAE.
So what I want to talk about today is, and my original theme of today's conversation is how to be a contributor, a fashion contributor to a well-known magazine. And that was just kind of playing around in my head, sitting there, and I'm thinking, I don't know if that's the right video to do. How I want to do the video is how to do your own thing and contribute to a fashion publication. Because I think how I entered into the fashion industry as a contributor, what I was able to do, it just is not going to work anymore, at least for the time being. I'm not saying gone are the days, but I think that things have slightly changed. And what I mean by that is newsrooms are shrinking. A lot of publications have laid off staff. In 2023, 20,000 media lost their jobs. Last year, over 14,000 media lost their jobs. And in speaking with an editor not too long ago, her opening email was just so poignant, and I could just feel the stress that she's under, where she noted that most of the editors that she knows are either burnt out or considering quitting their jobs. And that has filtered down to contributors and freelancers. A lot of these major media publications are not working with freelancers the way that they used to. And how I came into the industry was 2019. I was consulting in Washington, D.C., and I thought I was going to move back to Berlin, Germany, but God made it clear He wasn't calling me back to Berlin. And I went to serve Syrian refugees in entire Lebanon. And then after some time, I moved up to Beirut. In a year of being into Lebanon, I needed some income. And I needed to find some money quick. My savings had begun to really take a deep nosedive. And so I wrote to the then editor-in-chief of Harper's Bazaar Arabia asking if they were welcoming any contributors. Now, the first time I wrote her, she did not respond. And this is normal in the fashion industry. or just in media in general, editors are getting 300 emails a day. They're being bogged down with other responsibilities that they have. They're overseeing budgets, they're overseeing other freelancers. They've got a lot going on, so it's normal for them not to respond. But one way God speaks to me is through dreams. And I had had a dream about being in the fashion industry. I didn't think it was going to be so literal, but boy, was it literal. And I wrote her back, but I didn't know that, again, I didn't know that the dream was literal. And I just followed up with her, wrote her back, "Hey, do you need any contributors?" And she responded and she's like, "Yeah, you can start contributing and covering Lebanese designers." And that's what I did. So I started off by every event that was happening in Beirut, pop-ups, things happening in the city fashion-wise, I was going to and I was covering for Harper's Bazaar Arabia. And then a few months later, I took a chance on my own budget, on my own whim, and decided to go to Florence, Italy for Pitti Uomo, the men's fashion week. And I found myself in Ava Cavalli's home because her son Robert was launching his own a new collection for his brand Triple R, and just getting to meet people in the fashion space. And I was so new to this, and I didn't know terms and brand aesthetics and signature styles of brand. I really was learning as I was going. And being able to meet other people like Susie Minkus and interview Robert. And it was the first time I heard the word sartorial, or maybe I heard it, I just never knew what it meant. And being able to go to Gucci Garden and get a tour of the Gucci presentation, an exhibit that was happening at Gucci Garden. That was fascinating to me because the girl that took me on that tour, she laid out Gucci's history under Tom Ford and other creative directors and how he brought a sensuality to the brand. And so, there I am learning as I go. And then from there, I went to my very first runway show, Salvatore Ferragamo, and fell in love with fashion. And I sat next to a woman who unpacked the reason why Italians are so gifted in fashion and that the well-to-do families of Italy were patrons of the arts going back centuries, and just learning about that, learning how Florence was always steeped in leather making craftsmanship. And I took that experience, I took it away with me, that this is where I'm supposed to be, because I had come from the DC world, studied in Washington, DC. I soaked up everything DC had to offer. I interned at the White House. I interned in Congress on the Senate and the House side. And I really thought that that's where my life was going to be. And I was so content with that at 18, 19, 20, and 21. I aspired to go work somewhere in DC in one of the three branches of government. But when I got a taste of fashion, I haven't looked back to DC. Yeah. And I'm very content. After Pitti Uomo, I then was at Haute Couture Week, July 2019, and going to the Tony Ward show and Rami Kadi and Zuhair Murad, and seeing the Lebanese craftsmanship of couture just drew me in even further. And after Haute Couture Week, I stayed with Harper's Bazaar for a few more months, and then I went to write for Villa 88. It's an Emirati women's fashion lifestyle magazine, and I got to interview people like Christian Louboutin and continue covering the runway shows, and just being opened up to another element of the fashion industry by going to the Dior shows and Valentino shows and just soaking all of that up. And then from there, around the time of the Beirut explosion, shortly after that in 2020, I started writing for Forbes US. Forbes has a contributor network, and there's other publications out there that have contributor networks, which means you have to write a certain amount of articles in a month to be paid. The pay isn't great, but it's a platform that you can begin to be opened up into my editor, then editor would call it your swim lane. So if it's real estate, fashion, travel, you have this incredible platform with the Forbes name to be able to be exposed to larger aspects of your swim lane and contribute. But with the contributor network, you have to be vetted, you have to be accepted, you have to go through a process to be accepted in. And by God's grace, I was able to be accepted to get in and to write. And I stayed with them for 4 or 5 years. And then also while I was writing at Forbes, I was also writing for Hollywood Reporter. And what that did was open me up to the Hollywood side of fashion. There's this unique matrimony between fashion and film. You can't have one without the other, or you certainly can't have film without fashion. And being able to go to Cannes Film Festival and Venice Film Festival and fashion and film related events was also eye-opening to me, and being able to meet movie stars and get quotes from them was fascinating because I grew up in a family where we watch movies all the time, and they were surely pinch me moments. But do I advise for somebody who, if you're wanting to contribute fashion to a well-known fashion magazine or a well-known magazine with a fashion vertical, to contribute to them? Sure, yeah, I advise go and contribute to them. But I also advise that you do your own thing at the same time, because it's great to create something in life that cannot be taken away from you. And because the media industry is so fragile at the moment, with media being downsized, with media budgets being shrunk, with editors not responding to pitches, you got to create your own thing. So if you're lucky and blessed enough to start contributing to a well-known magazine, embrace it, take it. That's a great platform to be on. And how you are able to do that, or how I was able to do that, is I just sent emails like I did to the then editor-in-chief of Harper's Bazaar Arabia, asking if they need a contributor. I always go to the top, and I can't stress that enough. Go to the top, ask at the top, because if the editor-in-chief likes you, then they will forward your email to the digital editor or to another editor, and then maybe you have the chance to start writing immediately. Sure, you can write to the digital editor or another editor, and maybe they will respond and maybe they will start letting you contribute. But when you go to the top, the person at the top has power, right? So go to the person at the top, and then maybe you'll have a quicker chance of being able to get in and write and contribute to that publication. Um, yeah, so that's my advice. Go directly to editors and ask if you can contribute. And don't think that, oh, I'm not worthy enough, I'm not smart enough, I didn't study journalism. So what? I didn't study journalism either. I didn't study fashion either. I studied history for my bachelor's and international relations for my master's. I can tell you how the American Civil War started, or facets of U.S. foreign policy in World War I and II, or the Vietnam War. That's where I'm comfortable. That's what I know. But I'm passionate about fashion, and there's a place for everybody in fashion, because if you've got a business acumen, fashion needs you. It's a business. If you've got creative pursuits, there's a place for you to be a creative director, to design or to do makeup or to do hair. Or if you're a lawyer, there's a place for you. If you've got an interest in fashion, most likely there's a place for you at the table of fashion. So I can't stress that enough. Just go for it. Just do it. Just email that editor-in-chief and explain your pitch and explain why it's relevant, and send in some writing examples. You probably will bring a different way of looking at fashion, especially if you didn't study it, that you can say, hey, I have a law degree, but I've always enjoyed fashion, and my law skills make me a great candidate to be a contributor to your publication, because I've got analytical skills. I can break down this, and this of why this brand operates like this, or I've been following the commerce side of retail, and I know I'll make a great contributor because I've been following why, for example, luxury goods, the luxury sector is declining in sales at the moment. So, yeah, when you didn't study a thing, I think you bring a unique perspective to that thing. But going back to, hey, contribute to a well-known publication, but do your own thing. This is the age where it's the rise of Substacks, podcast channels, newsletters. So I would advise you to parlay writing for a well-known publication with having your own thing on a different platform. So you can monetize with Substack, with YouTube, and with podcasts. I would say go for it. And just being consistent and doing an episode a week, or at least one good solid article a week to build a follower base, that's all you need. And you don't have to invest in expensive camera equipment. You can start off with just your iPhone or your phone. And then I would say invest in $15, $20 a microphone so that you have good sound quality. And if you've got iMovie on your laptop or some kind of video editor software that came with your laptop, then you can start off with that and you don't have to go and purchase video editing software, or you can just be playing with it for a little while and then invest in podcast video editing software. But I can't stress enough how important it is to start your own thing, because if a publication lets you go and because they're not able to keep you on for whatever reason, then you've got your platform with your own followers that you can continue moving despite not having or despite not being a part of a larger publication. So I hope that this information is helpful, that the takeaways are go for it, contribute to a larger publication, reach out to an editor-in-chief, and hopefully somebody will respond that you can start contributing. And if they don't, or if they do, still have your own thing. Have your own platform through a Substack, a newsletter, podcast, so that you can have something that nobody can take away from you and build your own community of followers, and you'll thrive. Yeah, so that's this episode, and stick around for future episodes. I hope that you enjoyed this podcast episode and that you have found a soulful connection to the conversation. God bless you, and until the next episode, go bless somebody else.